Wayne Show on Miracles Everywhere on ACIM Gather. That's acimgather.us. Go to the webpage, have fun, stay there. What's happening, Lynn? How you doing? Hey, Dove. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for being here.
Doing
And
great.
good, good. Today, it's just me here today. I'm just going to be talking, do the lesson, and then I'm going to go back and do 71, which is part of today is a review. And 71 is the first lesson in the review. And then I'm going to do lessons. I'm going to go back and do the lesson 71. That text. I mean, that's a text. I mentioned the word text. I didn't mean text. I mean, then we'll go back and do lesson 71. Just 71. Not 72, just 71. Anyhow, so that's the deal for today. So hopefully I hope today it turns out to be helpful. But first, I think I have a song set up. Let me kind of yes, I do. I have one of two songs I think I'm going to play. It's either a song called "Awesome God" or "Amazing Grace." I guess I'll go with "Amazing Grace." I'm going to go with "Awesome God" because it's shorter. Then we get right into the and it's a instrumental version, and I think it's acoustic, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll just give that a shot. Um, Small pause. Awesome God. That was the O'Neill Brothers group with Awesome God as the instrumental. They play a lot of pianos. I've heard them. Actually, I had a piano version stuff, piano tape of piano when and it wasn't. It wasn't Christian music. It was other music, songs that everyone's heard before. But it was good stuff. So I would look into that if you're interested in mellow, relaxed piano music and guitar music, acoustic. The O'Neill Brothers. The O'Neill Brothers. All right, so let's get right into the lesson, shall we? Um, I'm gonna have a our friend I'm spacing on his name. Yeah, I can't remember that. I'm spacing on the guy's name who's So, well, I'm gonna have him read it, and then we'll get straight. We'll get straight then I'll have him read it. I'm gonna do this. Let's do the review, and we'll head back and do lesson 71. So we'll start out with the review, which is lesson 86 for anyone who wants to follow along, and then I'm gonna have and then we'll go back. So I was hoping that was the time I'd remember his name, but I can't. If I don't wanna, what's his name again, Len? The guy who about this, who does all the tapes. Do you remember? You remember his name? Jim.
Jim
Jim.
Stewart.
Jim Stewart. Thanks. And what bummed me out is I knew I was forgetting the actor's name. I knew I was forgetting Jimmy Stewart. So I usually use him as sort of a guard, as sort of a measuring tool. If I ever forgot this guy's name, I knew it was Jimmy Stewart. Same thing, but I couldn't remember either.
I think it would be really cool if someone could, like an impersonator, could read the course like Jimmy Stewart,
Yeah.
because that would be way cool to
Well,
hear.
they have those in AI now. They have those in cars and stuff.
Oh,
They
yes.
can probably do it, I'm sure.
You could ask AI to do it. Oh, I love
Especially
it.
his, because they have so
All
many.
right. Back to you, Wayne.
All right, thanks. Yeah, Jim Stewart is the name of the man who's about to read, and and then I'll go back and talk about it, and then we'll move to lesson 71. All right, here we go, lesson 86, and the reviews. These ideas are in review for today.
Lesson 86. These ideas are for review today. 71. Only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because His plan can never fail.
I want to stop it there for a second because it's amazing to me, and I know you hear Lance. So I want to just bring it for 1 second. Does that sound familiar to you at all? When I read that just recently, I said, it's the Course's way of saying. And I read this before, and it stood out immensely. Is that and it just I'm punching up the oh yeah here, wait, hold on, I have it right here. To you who read, I speak. To you through the long years and much running to and fro, this is in personal life, have been eagerly seeking in books and teachings, in philosophy and religion, you know not what, truth, happiness, and freedom. To you souls weary and discouraged and almost destitute of hope. And it goes on and on. To you thought you found some greater teacher, perhaps acknowledged head of some society, fraternity, or religion, who appeared to be some master, so marvelous was his teachings. He taught works was performed, only to awaken later to the realization that the master was a human personality whose faults and weaknesses, sins, same as yours, and it must have been a channel through which were voiced many beautiful teachings, but that it seems to be the highest truth. And here you are, solo weary and hungered, and knowing not where to turn. To you I have come. And if I don't know if hopefully I didn't speak too fast, but you get the point. He's saying, to you who are weary, to you who are miserable, depressed, you've been searching your butt off to try to find God, to find the Spirit, to find help, to find somebody out there, to find what's going on. It's guru after guru after guru after guru, and you find nothing and nobody. You've been turned away. You find all the gurus out there are just no better than you. Now let's go back here. This is the way it's lesson 86. This is Jesus in the Course here. It is senseless for me to search widely about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and many things. But when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I'm not undertaking a final seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And I will rejoice because his plan will never fail. I mean, there it is. It's not as fancy. It says, but I mean, it's like, to you I have come. He's probably been saying this for the whole course already. This is lesson 71, and this is lesson 86. I mean, it was, this has been pounded into our heads the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, last year, however long we were really in personal life, and it just stood out for some reason. It was as Jesus was waiting for me to see this passage, so I could compare it with the personal life. But it was that's that whole opening right there. If there's ever a comparison between the seamlessness of the different time periods in which Jesus spoke to different people, and not even at the same time period. It's not as if this was 1976, and this was 1986, 1996. This is early 1930s. The man passed. I think or maybe probably gone by now. 76. This is different time periods completely. Or at least this was long before. The course was, even being thought of. And this by Helen. As were many others.
These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. This is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. 72. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work. Yet only His plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I am choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this. If I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation. This calls for salvation, not attack.
This calls for salvation, not attack. That last one is nice. I like that one. This calls for a reason to celebrate, not attack. This calls for a reason to jump for joy, not attack. Holding grievances. Grievances, another word for grievances that I use at least is resentments. Holding resentments. It's not like when you regret something and you blame others for the regrets. You mix those two together, blame with regret. And then blame is usually, it's others. You resent those people. Sometimes you resent yourself. That's very confusing. Usually it's others. It's easier. Holding resentments is an attack on God's plan for salvation, on God's plan for celebration. How are we going to be joyful and playful and fun and laughing if we're attacking each other? If we're always in attack mode? How are we going to park the car if we're driving it? Can't do it. When I park the car, you have to park the car. Stop driving it. Okay. All right, let's go to lesson 71. The review lessons for those who don't know. Review lessons 71, 72 today. And then you could go back and check out the lessons if you wanted to. Um, Today I want to. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Bummer. It's not as if God's plan for salvation is a miserable experience. And it's not as if God's plan for salvation is not the one that was whispered into your ear when you was a kid. Before you were even like filled with programming and conditioning. You had that small little dream that whispered into your ear. What do you want to be when you grow up? What kind of rock star do you want to be? How do you want to succeed in this big bad world? And little kid mind is still there, is dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. Maybe that dream can still come true. It's about the inner experience. If that inner experience comes true, it'll come true on the outside, some way, some form. It will be the form that you want. Your dream will come true. It has to. You either know it's there, you know it's there, you don't know it's there. If you don't know it's there, it's not the it's not the experience. It's just an adjustment of the experiencer, or the assumed of the experiencer. I mean, as you know, it's sort of like you look in one of those mirrors. You look in the mirror, and there's a mirror in front of you and a mirror behind you. So however you look at it, it goes on forever, forever and ever and ever behind you, forever and ever in front of you. But that's sort of like the infinite, the eternal. Goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever in all directions. That's infinite. That's infinite separation. Except the mirrors are funny mirrors. You ever go to the park, the playgrounds? I mean, the Six Flag deals, and they have funny mirrors. And you're the one that's seemingly, as far as you're concerned, the real thing. And over time, over the course of your little lifespan, you start forgetting. Wait, what's real? What's not real? When you realize that you have no idea. You're no more real than any other funny looking picture in one of those mirrors. You're small, he's big, you're tall, he's short. He's wide, you're skinny, she's skinny, he's wide, tall, purple, green. They're animals, insects. All this is just different pictures, different reflections in a funny house or whatever they're called, a fun house. And they go on forever. Behind you, in front of you, all different directions, mirrors, they go on forever. That's our work. Three-dimensional. So in that world, I don't mind giving it up to God's plan. Let him navigate me out of whatever, however I got here, I have no idea. It's very existential. Because once you realize this, then the uselessness of trying to make any decisions makes no sense. Because you're the only one here. And you don't even know if you're here. But to the extent that you can identify with anything at all, as being anything at all, or being anyone at all, I will put that underneath the auspices of the highest power possible, which is me in my actual final state. I have to believe that I am in my final state right now, reaching out to me in my non-final state. What else could be happening? I'm done. And I'm not done. Part of me that's done is reaching out. And saying, do it this way, my man. Of course, it's the way I did it before. But I did it before the way by him reaching out, by the spirit reaching out. So I have to reach out back. But that's the way it was always scripted. So there's no stakes here. There's nothing to worry about. Let the guidance just be. Don't fight the guidance. You can't win anyhow because you're not really fighting. Only God's plan for salvation will work. For joy, for peace, for celebration, only God's plan. You're not really fighting. You may think your plan for your own personal salvation, your own happiness, so you want to get rid of all other ideas. My idea only, please. But every time you get a challenge, you're miserable, depressed, and you want to push it away. Bring the challenges on. You watch a boxing match. I watch a lot of these guys. What they do is they want to get. I've seen certain tactics are they'll sit in the corner and they wait for the guy to come out to approach them, so they can counterpunch. The guy throws himself out punching, and then every 10 punches they throw about three back, about four back. They're better shots than the guy who's punching them. The guy who's punching them throws himself out. Only God's plan for salvation will work. We sit there punching ourselves out. We throw 1,000 punches. And the challenger sticks his hand out and breaks our leg. The challenge, the ego. We're fighting the challenge that comes to us, whatever the challenge is. Some loss on some level. And so there's something that is a challenge to overcome, to use as an opportunity, a stepping stone, to something higher, something better, knowing that, hey, this is part of my dream. This is part of my illusion that I put there so I can learn something. I have a temper tantrum. I get perturbed. And I don't want to look at it. So I refuse to accept this happened. I refuse to accept that I have none on my plan for salvation. I don't have a plan, but so what? My plans have never worked, but so what? They're my plans. Well, they're mine. I won't call them plans. We'll call them pre-plans. They're my pre-plans. Soon to be plans. Idiot. But I have spent and I will continue to spend, I'm sure, more of my life trying to be my own planner. Never been a great planner. I married well in terms of planners. I grew up in a planner's household. And I'm a good planner on long-term vision like stuff, but everyday stuff. And most of my plans are of me not fitting in. Which I don't think that God really minds that part. God wants to take over the part that I'm not good at. God wants to take over the part of planning that I can't do very well, which is the little things. He will put people in my life. He will put the greatest people in the world in my life. And in doing so, he puts me in other people's lives. Next thing you know, a bunch of people have been put in their lives to help each other. What they're helping each other to do is another story. Truth be told, seeming free will starts there. Because form means very little to the spirit. Consequences there is what reigns supreme in form. If you can handle the energy, you can handle the energy. You can handle the light, you can handle the light. You can handle the darkness, you can handle the darkness. You can handle what's there, you get it. And you get the form. Because actually it's meaningless. It's the spirit that matters. It's the content that matters. It's the love that matters in the end. I haven't done this. What I'm about to do, I haven't done in a while. But I'm going to play another song because my voice is getting a little raspier. I used to always play a song on the half hour. I used to play another song, so there's a break, and then I'll be back and we'll do the rest of 71. All right, so this is, I don't play Amazing Grace. I was going to play it before, I might as well play it now. It's by the Samuel Neal Brothers, so it's very relaxing. Have a cup of coffee, take a break, take a 5-minute break, 4-minute break. I think it's 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. This is Amazing Grace. My chains are gone, in parentheses, which means it's the longer version. It's a beautiful song, obviously. So Amazing Grace, the O'Neill Brothers group. Oh, beautiful. So that was very nice. Very nice, very nice, very nice. The O'Neill Brothers group, the O'Neill Brothers group. They're also just the O'Neill Brothers. The other, just the O'Neill Brothers. Sometimes it's not a different group if you see them. The O'Neill Brothers. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Let's go. All right. So, actually, we haven't even started the lesson yet. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. So we have the ego versus Christ. The ego is playing the game against Christ. Is this attack first the attack mind? It is this plan in which you believe. You believe in God, the ego's plan. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of ego's is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course. And after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it is, you do believe it. Now, this is, of course, if you think about it, it's senseless for you to search wildly about for salvation. Only God's plan for salvation will work. You may not realize that the ego is for God's. In other words, ego has no way for ego to help you. Ego cannot help you. Ego cannot help you. But since you think ego can help you, you've been brainwashed. You've been brainwashed. Obviously, you have to compete. Obviously, you have to attack. You're being attacked. I'm vulnerable. I'm prey amongst predators. Who's my predator? My neighbor. You're my predator. I'm preaching to predators. Thank God for Zoom. I can stay away from you and be with you at the same time. Perfect. It's like we're together, but we're not. The ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. So when you follow the ego, you're constantly resentful. You're in blame mode. You did this to me. You're a fun guy to hang around with, I'll tell you. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some crucial circumstance or event was changed, you would be saved. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived that side yourself. I can't celebrate unless you allow me to celebrate. I can't celebrate. I can't be happy. I can't feel experience joy unless you cause it to happen. I'm at your effect. I'm at your disposal. Source of salvation is constantly perceived outside yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. In other words, why is everything like this? Why can't everything just be different? Well, that's genius, isn't it? Why can't everything just be different? The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. Why can everything else be different and everyone else be different? So I can be happier. For me to be happier, I have to remain the same so I can experience happiness now, as I am. Everyone else changes the way I want them to change. I change the way I want to change, and then they change the way I want them to change. But no one else changes the way they want to change. I'm in charge of change. I'm in charge of the change department, and I'm in charge of change, and I tell you how you have to change day by day, moment by moment. The role assigned to you, the role assigned to your own mind in this plan, then is simply to determine what other than itself must change in order to be saved. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of salvation is acceptable, provided that it will not work. I'm going to read that with the word that I like to use recently, celebration. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of celebration is acceptable, provided that it won't work. As long as I can sabotage my day, sabotage my own happiness, as long as I can get rid of it, destroy it, I will engage the process. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusion persists. And although this hope has always failed, always, there is still ground for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better. Another situation will yet offer success. Kind of says, such is the ego's plan for your salvation. Surely you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine. Seek, but do not find. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation, celebration, joy, happiness, good times, fun, than to channelize all your efforts into searching for it where it is not. What better way to convince yourself that a good time, fun times, good times, joyful times, peaceful times don't exist, and then have you search for it where it doesn't exist. It hasn't made sense. If they go into a department store, if they go to a store, a big giant store that sells clothing, he asks them for cars. We don't sell cars. God's plan for salvation works simply because by following his direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek there only. Otherwise, your purpose is divided and you will attempt to follow two plans. And how stupid it is for celebration. I'm gonna celebrate here. I'm gonna celebrate life over here. I'm gonna make a good time over here. I'm gonna have fun over here. Over here, I'm gonna have a miserable time. I'm gonna have fun and miserable times together. I'm gonna do both. Today, I'm gonna shoot for a good time. I'm gonna shoot for happiness. I'm gonna make sure everything today is gonna be great. I'm gonna have a great day. I'm determined to, but I'm also determined to have a crappy day. Miserable, depressed. All right, here I go. One way. Otherwise, your purpose is divided and you will attempt to follow two plans for salvation. that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. How can you escape all this? And we're walking around now, going after the light and darkness, trying to move left and right at the same time, reaching for the stars and reaching to the depths below at the same time, wondering why we get nowhere. How do we escape from all this? How do you escape? Very simply. The idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for salvation will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. So if you're walking around and you're not feel rescued, if you're walking around and you're not in celebration mode, you're not in happy mode, you're not feeling all sorts of fun, you're not laughing, smiling, hugging people, hugging your friends, overcoming challenges, adventure, feeling passionate about life. If you feel the opposite of those things, dead to the world, apathetic, feeling indifferent to everything, grieving, resentful, frustrated, arrogant, nasty. No way to escape this particular malady. Only God's plan for salvation not only will work, but is working. And obviously, what's going on there is not working at all for you. And that's how you know, because if that's happening, then that's not God's plan. God's plan is pure happiness in all your endeavors. Happiness doesn't always come with just laughing hysterically, but there's contentment. You know the laughter's coming. Freud said that contentment is sort of like when you know water's coming and you're thirsty. When you're thirsty, you know water is coming. So you're content when you're not thirsty. And if you get thirsty, it's okay. It's okay if you're a little thirsty because you know water's coming. It's when you don't know if water's coming, anxiety kicks in. Then when you get thirsty, oh, water might not be coming. That's when anxiety kicks in. When we know the Spirit's guiding us, if we know there's only one plan, salvation, and it's a plan of happiness and peace, joy, celebration, adventure, conquering challenges, and not in some nasty attack sort of way, in a playful, gaming sort of way. In a game board sort of way. You know, you're really into the games you play at home. So play really hard, but you don't really care. In the end, you put the game away and you go about your day. To you Star Trek fans out there, you ever watch them play poker on Star Trek? You know, they don't play for money; they play for chips. I tell you, it's about low stakes poker, but they want to win. That's not real competition from the ego's perspective. You know, the ego's looking at that, come on, guys, come on, play for money, come on. The ego has very little to do there because money doesn't exist in Star Trek land. How they did that, they don't tell you. He leaves it up to our imagination. Roddenberry. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusion persists that although this hope has always failed, let's practice recognizing this certainty today. And let's rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Salvation must be yours because of his plan, which cannot fail. So if you're thinking, you look around, and I can't just say I'm not going to be vulnerable because God says so. But being son, you think because it was written on a book, I can read it. Okay, okay, Reverend, that's it. You got me. Woo! Yesterday I had no idea. I had no idea, and then I read this book, and now I know. Thank you. That was all there was. Pass out the book. I make people read it. Read it. Okay, go. You read it. Now you have faith. You need to. You need to. You know, a year. You need to work as sort of like a turtle. Give yourself some time. Do it daily. It's very little to start with, at least. It might feel like a lot after a while, but that's the challenge. You feel good at the little things. You get the little things down with assistance, whether it be through a wife or through a spouse or through a husband or through a brother or a sister or a friend, or just through God directly. Suddenly you find yourself, your skills improving. You let God follow you. You let God guide you into actions that are productive. You don't question why is this happening anyhow? Why am I in pain? Why am I suffering? Unless you answer that question, I will not take your guidance. Because you know what's going to happen then? The Spirit's going to say, okay, let me know when you want me back. And say, a lawyer, a defense attorney. You can only represent yourself. But I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't do it. All right, gents and ladies, Rev Wayne Stills for the Rev Wayne Show at Miracles Everywhere on ACIM Gather, ACIMGather.us. Thanks very much for coming by, and I hope that was helpful. I hope you understood me, and sometimes I speak a little fast and mumbly, but sometimes I don't. So it depends on the Spirit, how it moved me up my mouth, let the Spirit come out. And I hope what came out today moved you on some level. Next time I'll be here Monday afternoon, yes, late afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern, where I'm doing personal life, which I remember at the beginning. I started out by comparing it to the opening of 86, lesson 86, which was remarkably similar. And then Tuesday I'll be here with BSing with Lynn on Anxiety to Love. And then next Thursday is the lounge, ACIM Lounge, which we will be doing a segment that I like to call Not Quite Live with Rev Wayne. We're doing something that I taped just a couple of weeks ago on a Zoom tape. So it's a video of me, and then we're gonna move into the Twilight Zone and interact with everyone. So it's gonna be a fun week next week. So that's next week. Until then, everyone. God bless you all. I love you all. Peace.
Thank you so much, Rev Wayne Stills. And what a wonderful hour it has been. And yes, you were very clear the entire time. So
Good.
grateful for that. I love you, brother.
Love you too.
See you Monday.
See you Monday.